Stack.
Stack 5.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we're live on the Conscious Approach channel. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. My name is JV Wins. That, of course, is Dogon SS. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Conscious Approach video series on YouTube. We do this each and every week. So thank you for tuning in. Before we get started, as I always like to say, if you happen to be catching any of our content for the first time and you like what we're doing over here in this little corner of YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can join in with the tribe. Go ahead and hit the like button, man. Let us know what you think about the content. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about what we're doing over here. But moreover, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We certainly appreciate the support as we continue to crank out this logical content each and every week. So thank you to everyone who has already continued to join, and thank you in advance to anyone who hops onto the train along the way. With that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started. First thing that we are going to talk about this week, of course, is Ja Morant.
You.
Hot button issue. Everybody is opining on Ja Morant. Anyone who is following along with this story knows what we're talking about. After initially being suspended by the NBA and serving what was an 8-game suspension away from the Memphis Grizzlies, and NBA superstar Ja Morant, he went on this contrition tour. He was sent to some sort of rehabilitation place to get help or therapy. Of course, we never know what that means. I never know what that means. No one ever knows what this therapy ever entails. It's just something that they do for PR purposes. Oh, just go to rehab, go to therapy. So Ja Morant did all of that. He lost a chunk of money. He didn't make the All NBA team. It's estimated that he lost anywhere between $40 and $60 million when you combine him not making All NBA with also missing game checks. So after that, everybody thought that Ja Morant may be on the straight and narrow. But of course, on the afternoon of May the 14th, was it? Mother's Day? Yes, May the 14th, Sunday, Mother's Day, Ja Morant was spotted in an IG Live video that has since been deleted, listening to rap music in a car with one of his homies, toting a pistol. And you cannot hide when you put stuff on the internet. The NBA found out, the Memphis Grizzlies found out, and now Ja Morant has been suspended indefinitely from all team activities. An actual punishment has not been levied at this point, but it is suspected that he will serve a lengthier suspension. No one knows what the amount of games are. We're not going to speculate on what that is. That would just be a ridiculous guessing game. But be that as it may, Ja Morant toting pistols on social media publicly once again. And so a lot of people have opinions on this. One of the people who has an opinion on this is Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson is a guy who both Dogon and myself, during the first incident with Ja Morant, said hopefully Ja Morant does not take any advice from Steven Jackson. Because Steven Jackson's track record, and I'm not just talking about his playing career, even post-playing career as a person in the media, is one of I'm about that life.
Right.
But now he'll definitely make excuses as to why he's about that life or why certain things have to happen the way that they do. But Steven Jackson nevertheless spares no expense to position himself as someone who is about that life. And we will provide context on that in a couple minutes. But Steven Jackson had an opinion on Ja Morant. He was recently on I Am Athlete. Steven Jackson was also somebody who initially defended Ja Morant. Initially, the first incident when he said, hey, man, he made a mistake. Y'all make mistakes too. Don't throw stones at a glass house. Let him get a chance to recuperate and recover from his mistake. Don't be hypocrites. We all should be given the opportunity to learn from mishaps, which in essence is correct. We just thought that it was a little curious, that type of message coming from him, although not surprising. So, it was interesting to see that Steven Jackson now, in light of Ja Morant doing this for a second time, apparently, is sort of, chastising Ja Morant for making a foolish decision. So this article here is from Hot New Hip Hop. It says Steven Jackson calls Ja Morant a moron. Steven Jackson is a former NBA player who went through a lot in his career. Although he made some mistakes, he was able to eventually redeem himself. Now he offers advice to the young players in the NBA who may follow in his footsteps. Overall, this is a very noble goal, as he could very well prevent a player from making a life altering mistake. Moreover, he is seen as an OG in NBA spaces, which
Ugh.
gives him that much more authority when speaking on certain topics.
Ugh.
A few months ago, when Ja Morant got in trouble for toting a gun at a Colorado strip club, Steven Jackson defended Morant. At the time, he noted that it was a mistake and that Ja can still get his head right. However, Ja ended up making the exact same mistake over the weekend. This led to criticism pointed in Jackson's direction. That said, Jackson is owning up to his role in defending Morant. During an interview of the I Am Athlete podcast, Jackson was very blunt about Ja's behavior. Quote, I was one guy that actually went to bat for him because I've been a guy who thrown a lot of money at a young age and made a mistake, Jackson said. All the people like me that was taking up for him that said it was a mistake, that he's a young kid. We can't go to bat for him this time. This was the dumbest thing he could have done. This is a moron move. His parents should be embarrassed. These are some very strong words. However, it aligns with how many throughout the NBA world are feeling right about now. So, let's see. I actually wanted to play. There's a longer version of what Steven Jackson said. So I do want to get that queued up because this piece here on Hot New Hip Hop is the shorter version. So that was that was the sort of context for Steven Jackson there. So here is what he had to say about this situation in video form.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and listen to what Stat had to say real quick.
Oh boy.
I was one guy, that actually went to bat for him because I've been a guy who was throwing a lot of money at a young age and made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? But I, I'm totally different from the person I was. And, I think a lot of people commend me on the changes I made, after the mistakes I made. It's not what you do, it's what you do after. And what you do after is not do the same thing again, what he just did. So all the people like me that was taking up for him that said it was a mistake. He's a young kid. You know, we can't go to bat for him this time. This was the dumbest thing he could have done. This is a moron move. His parents should be embarrassed. His friends around him that, like we said, from the last incident, wasn't his friend. So it's just a fucked up situation. But you got to really just put everything in his lap and let him deal with it. He got to deal with everything that comes with it because he done the same dumb thing again that he act like he went and got help for. Just like I told y'all, he didn't talk to nobody and get no help that fast. You know what I'm saying? It was no way. That was a publicity stunt. But this is all on him, and can't nobody defend him. And I won't. I definitely won't stand up and defend him because that was the dumbest thing you could have done.
Once is a mistake, twice is a choice. And
All right, so that's enough of that. And now you actually wanted to provide a little further context for Steven Jackson. So we'll just play this one and then we'll go ahead and get into the commentary.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
so this is it's stuff like this that makes Steven Jackson's comments perplexing. So here we go here. This is from not even a year ago. This is not a year. So this ain't when Steven Jackson was a jit and he was subject to doing the same foolish things that Moran is doing. This was less than a year ago. So here is a video of Steven Jackson, quote unquote, checking in.
Yeah. A lot of y'all niggas been whole block pulling up, taking pictures. Where we at?
Tell them how to come.
We in the middle of it. What
Middle.
you mean, nigga? y'all pull up and take pictures and y'all not allowed to.
They sneak.
And one thing about it, if you're a real one, you don't mind checking in.
Checking in. What'd you say?
I check in with the real one. That's why I'm in the middle of O Block.
Where you at?
What?
Where you at?
I'm in the block.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Where the people's be, you know what I'm saying? Where the real
He in the middle of it. What,
Shit you
bro?
can't pay for. No rap cap. Shit you can't pay for. Fuck you mean? We really out here. O Block. Shot Town, nigga. Rest in peace, King Bond, nigga. We in the middle of O.
I don't know why it's buffering like that, but yeah, man. In the middle of O Block.
All right, looks like the video there froze up, but y'all get the idea. So that was Steven Jackson checking in Chicago on O Block last year. So so yeah, there you go. Steven Jackson is calling Ja Morant a moron. Is a moron move. His parents should be embarrassed, so on and so forth. So what's your take on Steven Jackson's comments as well as the Ja Morant situation as a whole?
Well, I feel like Steven Jackson was on point. I don't disagree with anything he said there. Moron seems a bit of a strong word, or moron. But it was a moron move, so you can't really fluff that up. It was really stupid. So yeah, I really don't disagree with anything he said in this one. But again, the reason why I wanted to bring up the O Block clip is because, like you said, this wasn't even a year ago. And Stack is well into his 40s. So you're checking in with juveniles, you know, and you're checking in on O Block for what? And you have no affiliation with these people. And yet you pull up where there's a whole bunch of minors playing basketball in the projects, and you like, yeah, you know, y'all can't do this work, you know, y'all ain't got enough clout like me. And it's like, why are you trying to get clout? This is the same thing Morant's doing. So Morant's out here trying to get clout. Steven Jackson's out here less than a year ago trying to get clout. He always just trying to get clout, and he's always trying to prove that he's hard. And like you said, always trying to prove he's about that life. But honestly, man, you know, I think they have the same syndrome. And I feel like his words were, I mean, the 180 he pulled here. I mean, damn, bro, you know, you give up pretty quick. You know, I mean, and he went to bat hard for him too. You know, he was around there just, you know, slandering us for getting at him, for literally ruining hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, this guy could have been, you know, one of the first young billionaire athletes out there, from all the endorsements and all the goofy stuff he could have got on 2K, this and this and that. And, you know, he's ruining it. And one more thing before I pass it to you. The overall take that most people are having about this is like, yeah, man, you know, we're not saying that he's doing anything illegal, because that's the first thing people like to say. He's not doing anything illegal. It's like, okay, yeah, we know that, but he has a job. And so Stephen A. Smith said that. Others have said it. And I agree. That's the whole point about this whole thing. Bro, you have a job. The NBA is still a job. They don't need you. And so we talked about that the first time. And this guy they're not gonna kick him out of the league over this. But if he continues with this trajectory, his career is going to be shorter than it had to be. So what do you think about this, bro? How do you feel about Steven Jackson, Ja Morant, O Block? How do you feel about all of this?
Yeah, the thing with Steven Jackson is, I believe, and you know, I could be wrong, but you know, I do follow Steven Jackson from afar, and I do believe that it is not out of him to check in at some point in the very near future.
Yeah.
So I find it very peculiar that he would just not continue to defend Ja on these along these lines, because I think that a couple months down the road, another video could pop up on the internet with Steven Jackson checking in somewhere else. Because, at a certain point, a tiger does not lose its stripes. And Steven Jackson does, at times, to me at least, try to toe this delicate line between being a conscientious observer, but also being about that life. But I think when push comes to shove, Steven Jackson, much like his co-host on that show that they do, what's the name of that show with Matt Barnes?
All the smoke.
All the Smoke. Yeah, much like Matt Barnes, uh, the need to be about that life is going to supersede being a conscientious observer. So it's interesting because the very same, it's like you alluded to, the very same sentiment that has Steven Jackson checking in is the same sentiment that has Ja Morant, you know, you know, um, putting these videos. Now, apparently he himself did not put this particular video out. The second one,
Right.
the first one he did,
Right.
but the second one, it was one of his boys was doing it on his IG live,
Mhm.
and once he saw, you can kind of see how once the shot of Ja holding the pistol comes in the frame, Buddy immediately like moves the phone because he don't want Ja to get in trouble again. But it's too late. All you need is a scintilla, and they have all the visual evidence that they need to know that it's you doing this. So it wasn't Ja's own social media to which the second video can be attributed to, but nevertheless, he's capitulating to the same behavior, and I believe that it's coming from the same place. Whatever that thing is, where dudes need to go from city to city and check in, it's the same thing that has people like Ja Morant doing that. I think it comes from the same sensibility. So that's pretty much where I'll leave it when it comes to Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson can say that now, but I believe that he'll end up, he'll do something like this in the future where he's checking in. And at that point, if you're somebody who's 40 plus checking in, what good is your criticism of Ja Morant in this particular situation? That's how I see that. When it comes to Ja Morant, yeah, more of the same for me. I don't like the way people are trying to suggest that this is being blown out of proportion because of the lack of illegality. Like, no one is saying that this is a problem because it's illegal, or like no one is questioning the legality of what he's doing and using that as the platform upon which to suggest that the stuff that he is doing is ridiculous. Like, no one with sense, no credible person in the media or on the streets is saying that what Ja Morant is doing is stupid because of the legality of it. No one's saying that. What we're saying is you're risking way too much by doing this stuff. And like, I'm sorry, but the NBA, yeah, the NBA, playing in the NBA isn't a right. It's a privilege. Just like, driving isn't a right. It's a privilege. If I get into DUIs, now I granted DUI there is a legality there, so maybe that's not the right comparison. But if I'm prone to reckless behavior when I'm behind the wheel, and my reckless behavior isn't necessarily illegal, but it does put certain things at risk, then my driving privileges might be revoked because of that. And so, with Ja Morant, none of this is illegal per se, but it's the sense behind it. What you're doing is putting a lot at stake in terms of your livelihood, your public reputation, and the reputation of those whom you represent, whether that's your parents, your family, whomever. These are you putting these things at risk are the reasons why doing this type of stuff is ill-advised. And I think that that's all people are saying. And I don't think any of that is out of bounds. But a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people in our community are taking it that far. And they are also suggesting that there's no difference between what Ja's doing here and when like a politician poses for a pic with his rifle or something like this. And the insinuation there is playing the race angle, saying that it's bad, and we're making a cultural observation at that point because you're dealing with black man listening to rap music. So black man listening to rap music with a gun optically is going to rub people a certain kind of way. Whereas, I don't know, non-black guy not listening to rap music, holding a rifle in front of his rifle case, rubs people a different kind of way. And how there's a double standard in play there because they should be perceived the same way. Well, people, I'm sorry, but they're not the same. Like they're not. I'm sorry, they're not the same.
Not
I'm
at
saying as a
all.
and listen, I'm black. I'm black. If and like and the thing about it is that I have so there's people in my family who like to hunt. They got guns all day, every day, and they may post a pic on social media holding a rifle next to a hog that they just killed, or whatever the game or kill they made when they were off doing their hunting thing. When I see these people posting their pics on social media holding their guns after going hunting, it rubs me a certain type of way. That seeing Ja Morant do what he does rubs me in a different kind of way. They're not the same. And I get so tired of people out here trying to make these false equivalencies so that they can defend things that are otherwise not defensible. Like, look, stop doing the race angle. Stop. Like, these situations aren't the same. Okay, if you want to say that Ja Morant posted a pic in front of his gun collection at his home and people got mad and wanted to get him suspended from the NBA, then I'd be like, okay, well, what's the difference between that and somebody, posing for a pic that is supposed to represent like the NRA at like some gun conference or something like that?
Right.
Okay, because that would be a reasonable comparison to make. And I'm not necessarily trying to absolve gun culture. I do think that that's an issue in the West that we need to address. But let's call a spade a spade. Those two things are not the same. And me as a black person, me seeing video of black guy in a car listening to rap music, toting pistols, does appeal to me in a certain kind of way that non-black person in his home or at a gun conference posting a pic without all of that kind of stuff, simply, bigging up for guns, is going to rub me in a different kind of way. They are not the same. But you have a lot of people who are supposed to be smart the last couple of days in the media are trying to are trying to make this equivalency as if it's the same. And they are not the same. But be that as it may, whether you want to make that equivalency or not, at the end of the day, I think everyone can agree that Ja Morant has far too much to lose to do things that can put his public reputation and his livelihood at risk. And I think that that's all people are saying. And, we talk about this type of thing on this channel often. We have a lot of people in this world who are social anarchists. They want people to be able to do whatever they want and say whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want. And you have a lot of people who think that you should just be able to be out here bumping your music and toting pistols and nothing should happen to you. I don't believe that that's the world that we live in. And this is proof of that. The NBA is a private employer. If they feel as though what you're doing is detrimental to their public image, they're going to discipline you. Sorry, but that's the way the world works. If you don't like it, be employed by yourself. That way you can do whatever you want conduct-wise and not have to answer to people. But people cut a check to Ja Morant. There's a billionaire who cuts his checks. If the billionaire says, I don't want something like that representing my company, in this case the Grizzlies, or if the NBA as a private entity that's for profit says we don't want that because the conduct is detrimental to our public image, then they reserve the right to make whatever call they want. And if you don't like that, then you're just going to have to reconcile your thirst for social anarchy elsewhere and leave the NBA to do whatever they want. But that's pretty much all people have to say. And it's unfortunate that people can't see the forest through the trees, and they have to, at every chance they get, talk about race and all of these other things when this is just a matter of common sense. Bro, don't do stuff like that. You're putting too much at risk. There's too much to lose. And it's always the case that the people who have that to say are people who have far less to lose than someone like Ja Morant. So you, guy who probably works in a restaurant kitchen, or you damn sure don't make 40, 50, 60, $70 million a year. I know that. and you don't have a Nike deal and a Powerade deal and whatever other endorsements that you have, corporate sponsorships and whatnot. So easy for you to say he should be able to do whatever he wants. It ain't illegal. Bro, it's not that simple. And people need to quit it with all of this lazy logic because it has a lot to do with what's gotten us here today. So, you know, I'm not even going to sit up here and say, hopefully, Ja Morant learns and can blah, 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 blah. I said that last time. I don't even give a damn anymore. At this point, people just need to learn that there's consequences to actions. That's pretty much it. So they're not the same. It's not an equivalent. People need to stop playing the race card, stop drawing false equivalencies. There are repercussions for bad conduct. And no matter how much we try to deviate from the need to conduct ourselves with good conduct, there are still going to be spaces in this society where you need to uphold yourself with proper conduct, or else you'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, man. And I didn't even hear that argument of, it could be race related or whatever. Saying that, white guy with a gun, next to his gun case or holding his gun collection or whatever. That's completely opposite. It's not even the same thing. Now, if it was a white boy with with emo clothes on, blaring some rock music,
Right.
and then he had a automatic rifle while he's blaring the music on his live. If that guy played in the NBA, that would freak out the NBA.
I agree. Yeah.
So, nah, man. So, young black man holding a gun, listening to, NBA young boys, and he's losing it. And so, and it's just like, yeah, man, we don't want this image. We see what goes on World Star Hip Hop. We see what goes on in you guys' videos. That's not the NBA. And it's like, hey, man, you have a job. And so he's not seeing that. Last time we had talked about this, I had brought up Miles Bridges. I still don't know what's going on with him. I think he was hurt this year, but still, even then, I mean, bro was just wilding out with his rap videos and stuff like that. I mean, just trying to be a real nigga in the NBA. And you don't have to do that. And, go through any aggressive area in the United States, and all those dudes turn into fans. He doesn't have to prove anything to those people. He doesn't have to prove anything to us. And yet and still, he has this complex. And the people out there that's defending him, I'm really starting to think it's just kids. And I got to see how old these people are on these accounts. That's sitting here defending him, talking about these, like you said, lazy arguments. It's like, bro, what are you even talking about? Who cares? Nobody cares that it's not illegal. It's just dumb to do that. So, when the last celebrity that you seen, on any ad, you know what I'm saying, running around slapping up kids allegedly. Pulling up the high schools allegedly. All of this stuff. And it's like, why is this all circling around this guy and that same homeboy? And because I saw the clip and I was like, dang, bro, did try to look out for him. But the more I watched it, that boy looked dead at him when he had that gun in his hand, and then peered the camera over, and then want to act like he shot. This is where everybody want to say it, hey man, these people around you is not your friends or whatever. I forgot whatever his name, so Pack, whatever Pack. And that's his boy, and that's the one that got kicked out of the arena for beaming people.
Right.
And so it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And there's people in this world that try to latch onto you and call themselves your friends, and they just want to extract. And this guy's clearly an extractor, clearly a hater, and he doesn't want to see his boy win. And it shows in his actions. So, hey man, at some point people got to grow up. They still running around like they're in middle school. And it's like, hey, because hey, man, you got a daughter and all this other stuff. Like, man, you should be
Right.
adulting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And so this is a wild scene, but nevertheless, all right. I don't even know if this is going to course correct this guy. I think he's I don't know what's going on, and it might be something wrong. So from I don't know, I don't know, man.
Yeah, you never know, man. That's correct. He could be somebody who needs to not drink or something. You never know. I'm not speculating. I'm not suggesting that he has any kind of substance abuse issue. I'm saying that it's
No.
on the table. It's on the table. You never know. Like we've known people have different tolerances for different things, and certain people have different sorts of triggers and psychosomatic triggers and things like that. Like, and it can be aided or subdued based upon the presence of a substance or lack thereof, right? So you just don't know. You don't know what his mental constitution is. We don't know, and perhaps that plays a role in a lot of this. But at the end of the day, man, um, we do this weird thing with pro athletes because we engage in hero worship with them in this country, where we just automatically assign the best human characteristics to these individuals by default. And then we get disappointed whenever they do dumb shit like this. Like this guy might just be an idiot, and people need to get over the horror. Oh my God, the horror that Ja Morant might be a dumbass. Maybe Ja Morant's a dumbass. And that's, what I'm saying? Like, that's life. Not everybody's this angelic, perfect human being. Maybe this guy's a dumbass. He just happens to be a dumbass who can jump really high and play stupid basketball. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop thinking that people aren't prone to doing dumb stuff. This might be who he is. Now, granted, he's what, 23, 24, something like that. I'm a completely different human now compared to who I was when I was that age. So the possibility for him to evolve is definitely there. But make no mistake about it, some of my baseline characteristics from when I was that age are still around. At a certain elementary level, some of this stuff just doesn't go anywhere. See Steven Jackson checking in, and he's 40 some years old. Like at a certain point, a lot of this stuff doesn't go anywhere. So it is what it is. Like, what help does he need? I don't know. Like, unless it's determined that he has some sort of issue with alcohol or something else, he might just be somebody who does dumb stuff. And it just so happens that now, because we're living in such a narcissistic society, people have no compunctions about showcasing their idiocy publicly on the internet, because people are narcissistic and just need that currency of attention. So, the NBA can just decide we don't want that kind of idiotic behavior going on here. And then at that point, he'll have to decide whether he can deal with that, or whether, as you said earlier, he ends up having a short-lived career. It is what it is, bro. But people need to stop making false equivalencies to have these larger societal conversations. I'm not averse to that, but I also say that do it in its appropriate context. In this situation, the dude's just doing dumb stuff. And this is not the same as somebody blasting, heavy metal rock music, wearing goth clothes,
Right.
Holding an AR-15 or a rifle. It's
Right.
not the same. So those two things are not the same. It really annoys me when people draw false equivalencies like that. White politician at a gun conference taking a picture holding a rifle isn't the same as those other scenarios.
Right.
Stop trying to make stuff the same. That's not the same. And I've seen a lot of that going around. I even saw JJ Redick make some kind of false equivalency like that on TV today. So it's just like, people need to stop doing that. And Ja Morant just might be an idiot. So again, I'm not going to say hope he gets better, because that goes without saying. I'm just going to say that maybe he is an individual who is not what y'all think he is. And to Steven Jackson, you can do all of that. You can be, righteous now when it comes to Ja Morant, and that's fine. just, don't be somebody who's going to be 48, 50 years old checking in the hood, because it kind of makes you look like you're cut from the same cloth. So, that's pretty much it for me.
I mean, and to be a real one, like Steven Jackson always claims that he is, he switched up pretty fast on Ja there. That's what I'm saying. But that didn't take long at all. You're supposed to still be holding him down.
Yeah.
Now he's a moron, making moron moves, throwing him under the bus. That's not what real ones do. Stat. This guy here, he plays this character of a real nigga from our era. So he's carrying himself like those guys did, and he's still doing it. Ja's the new generation. The NBA young boys who they all look up to.
Yeah.
They all look up to this guy. So he's their Lil Wayne, if you will. And so he's carving the new way that these guys act, how aggressive they are. I mean, he's not the only person that holds guns in videos. I mean, everybody does it, but it's still that level of aggression that comes with young boys' music that these kids are eating it up. So I'm not surprised that Ja's a fan of this. He's just a reflection of what's going on in modern music.
Yeah.
And so I keep hearing people keep saying that that's not what's going on, but he was listening to the song,
right,
as he's waving a pistol, brandishing a weapon. And so, yeah, man, the last thing I'll say this: if you don't think music controls you, next time you go to a club or festival or wherever they're playing music, and the DJ, the beat's just playing, the DJ says, put your hands up. Everybody put your hands up. Everybody puts their damn hands up. When back that ass up comes on, the first little doom, 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 doom. Every woman from my generation, whatever they were doing, they're dropping it. And they're going to the dance floor to twerk something. And me, from PTSD in my club days, yeah, both my ears go up, and I'm looking for something to get behind. These songs create automated responses in people. So Ja's listening to that song. He's got the weapon on him. Damn right, I'm about to wave this motherfucker. And as he's waving it, he's got a hater sitting right next to him and films him. Oh, my bad, bruh. I ain't know you was gonna do that. It's like, yeah, give me a break.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, automated response. So, am I taking up for Ja? Nah, but he is a prime example because his life is on display. He's not the young man that we read about in the paper or see on the news, because we don't know his life story. We don't know what songs he was listening to, but it's the same pattern. Ja just got hundreds of millions of dollars. Hopefully he's not checking in the old block in Memphis, getting extorted, waving crip. Well, you better slow down. You know what I'm saying? Do that in the mirror in the house, bro. That's what I used to do. Whenever that music was taking control and I wanted to throw up some signs, I ain't throwing that up in the club. First of all, I don't even know how to throw them up. But sometimes I'll throw something up. I'm not going to disrespect the game by doing the demonstration right now. But still, when you want to do stuff like that, do that in the confines of your own home. Don't go around putting it online because you look goofy. Do that goofy shit at the house. So, yeah, man, long-winded, but yeah, like you said, we can wish this guy the best, but he clearly ate up that propaganda thing that they told us, oh yeah, I went to rehab. Whoop de whoop. You know what I'm saying? Back at it. Nobody bought that. So if he felt like he skated and he's got that energy about him, then yeah, it's not much we can do to be on his side. So that's the part about what Stack said that I do agree with, but he did switch up, and real ones don't switch up. So
Yeah. Shouts out. My god brother is a very prominent DJ. Shouts out to my god brother DJ Bo Weezy. And I used to
yeah.
talk to him. I used to be like, bro, you got superpowers. You a human with superpowers. Because when you say to do something, people gonna do it. Cause
Yeah.
you behind them turntables and you playing that music, you can just make people do whatever you say. You could say you can be playing music and be like, everybody get on the dance floor and do jumping jacks, and they're gonna do it. People will do it.
No,
People
there'll
will
be people
do it.
doing it.
Yeah, people
There's
will
like,
do it because people become zombies when it comes to this music.
that's right.
They really do. And so I used to say that to him all the time, man. Like, you got to realize superpower. Other people wish that they could fly and shapeshift, but you are a living, breathing superhero for real because you're like Professor X,
Yes.
but you're not a telepath. You're just a DJ, but you can do the same thing. You can just put that music on and do that, and they'll do it. And so I used to tease him about that all the time, but he never denied that he never said I was wrong. He never said I was wrong, man. Shouts out to Bo Weezy. But yeah, it controls people. But what are you gonna do? Good luck, Ja. Hopefully you don't lose too much of that $200+ million contract you had coming your way.
Damn, wow.
Yeah.
Humble the bag.
Wild.
Old block.
So Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade apparently have a 50-50 split when it comes to finances in the marriage. I thought that this was quite interesting, and it's very non-modern woman-like for her to say. So Gabrielle Union was on Bloomberg, and they got into her personal life, and she talked about how even though she's successful, she still has financial anxieties. Um, and those anxieties often, you know, keep her working and busy because she's always worried that if she's not working, she'll lose the ability to provide. So those financial insecurities drive her work ethic, is what she was talking about. So this article from Hot New Hip Hop, it says Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade split bills 50-50. She admits to financial security struggles. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade have long been one of Hollywood's favorite couples. From speculating about their life in the bedroom together to praising the way they parent the athlete's transgender daughter, Zaya, the pair has cemented their status as hashtag couple goals. Never one to shy away from being candid about her personal life, the Bring It On starlet recently sat down with Bloomberg to discuss an unusually taboo topic: money. Seeing as she and Wade have both made a name for themselves in their respective industry, it's easy enough to assume their life. It's easy enough to assume they're set for life. According to Gabrielle, however, that's not exactly the case. While she's certainly gone through tremendous growth over the years, Union is open in sharing that she still deals with financial anxiety. The outlet asked her, quote, "When did you develop your first sense of monetary security?" To which she answered, "I still struggle with that. I have more responsibilities for my money." The mother of one said that there have been times when she's stressed over whether a movie role will open or not, seeing as she has so many people to take care of outside of her own husband and kids. Thankfully, being able to split costs with Wade 50-50 has been an immense help for Gabrielle. Let's see. Let's okay, so we'll just play this clip here. So this is an Instagram audio from Bloomberg in which Gabrielle Union talks about the splitting everything 50-50.
That first sense of security and that the work is coming, and I just, as long as I keep knocking it out, there's going to be more, and there isn't this sort of sense of the rug is could still be pulled out.
I struggle with that still, just because I think I just have more responsibilities, for my money. So I get nervous, like, oh God, that movie didn't open, well, what does that mean? Am I going to have enough to hold everybody up? And everyone's like, it's coming, like, calm down. And I'm trying to find peace in the journey, not using my anxiety and scarcity mindset to be my engine, which is hard. It's weird to say I'm head of household, because in this household, we split everything 50-50. But in the other households that each of us have to support, it puts there's always this like gorilla on your back that it is like, you better work, you better work. You gonna sleep in? Somebody might not eat. You gotta work. And it's hard. It's hard to let that go. So I'm working on that.
Interesting.
All right, so Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade split everything 50-50, which helps with her being able to alleviate some of her financial anxiety challenges. So, what do you think about Gabrielle Union, who, marches to the beat of her own drum? I think it's fair to say. And, I think it's also fair to say that she, embodies a lot of feminist ideology, I think. Talking about how she and Dwayne Wade split everything in the household 50-50.
Well, I mean, I think this is I'm a little puzzled here. So how is doing this 50-50 thing helping her anxiety? Like, how is that helping? Do you get the point there? Because I don't really understand.
So I think what she is saying is she has financial insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
And those insecurities are exacerbated when you're shouldering a bigger financial load. So if your financial load is split 50-50, as opposed to you being the breadwinner or you being the one paying for everything and all of that, then it's easier to manage those insecurities. I think that's what she was saying.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. But I guess that's why I'm confused, because why is that even a possibility that she would be the breadwinner? I guess she pulls in more than him, apparently.
Well, I know that. So I know that in her previous marriage, she was the one who was paying for everything. The guy who she was cheating. So remember when we did the video where she was married to the football player, and it was a toxic marriage where they were both just kind of cheating on each other constantly and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she even talked about how part of the problem with their relationship was the fact that she felt entitled to cheat because she was paying all the bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there might be some PTSD associated with those insecurities for her because of the fact that she came from a situation in which it was a toxic marriage and she was cheating all the time. And she furthermore felt entitled to cheat because she was paying for everything.
Gotcha. I mean, so yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense then, if in that context. Because I was like, I don't understand how that works, but in that context, okay, I agree with it. But 50-50 to me, it's working for them. So kudos to them. I hear 50-50 a lot. It's not what they want still. So. But if it's working for that, if it's working for Gabrielle and Wade, but see again, they do stuff different. We already see how they're raising their family. So we don't know what their bedroom dynamics are. We don't know what their masculine, feminine dynamics are, to be honest. They're non-binary to me. So they're doing any damn thing sexually. So I don't know what their dynamics are. So 50-50 could work for them because they're not really firm in their respective gender roles. So that's probably working for them in that context. But when dealing with people who want to be more traditionally mindset, in a more traditional mindset, the 50-50 thing is cool. But it could have it's not all the way, clean, because whether we like it or not, people put a lot of emphasis on money.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and with money comes control and say and all this other stuff. And they use money as a weapon. And they use their 50% as weapons instead of just paying the bills. They weaponize it instead of just saying, hey, I'm contributing to the house. It has to be something else behind it. Some more control tactics, more whatever, and you could try to pay it off. Hey, you know what? Fine. I don't need your money, because then there'll be a problem, because they're using the money as a form of control. So you gotta be mindful of who you're dealing with, the value that they put on money. Do they change up? Everybody change when money come around. So, but do they change up? Because, with all of these things, you never really know. So 50-50 sounds good on paper, but I'm in favor of financial domination. So what about you, sir? How do you feel about this dynamic with D Wade and Gabrielle?
Yeah, so I've often said how much I think feminism is a fallacy, how much it doesn't exist. It's a stand-in for a plea from women and feminist-minded people to give those individuals everything that they want, but to be able to retain the aspects of traditionalism that work to their benefit. So, for example, if feminism was a real thing, then everything that you just explained would no longer be applying. It wouldn't matter whether a woman was with a guy who financially dominated her. She'd still respect her partner, even if she made more. But what we know is, practically speaking, that's not the case. In the way that things still work is, in most cases, men have a responsibility to be financially and physically dominant, and their inability to do that can pose problems in terms of the relationship dynamics, primarily because women will just start to lose respect for you and will start to wonder whether there's another guy who can supplement for all of those qualities that you are apparently lacking. If feminism was real, none of that would exist. Just like if feminism was a real thing, then women would ask guys out for dates just as much as men do, and women would pay for dates just as much as men do, and women would ask for numbers just as much as men do. Women would hold doors open just as much as men do.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right. So that's why it's a complete joke. It doesn't exist. It's not real. All feminism really is we want what we want, but all the rest of this stuff needs to stay the same. Additionally, if it was real, women wouldn't be able to get into, VIP sections for free, or skip lines at venues and or pay less. There wouldn't be a such thing as ladies' night, or there might be a men's night just like there's a ladies' night, or there wouldn't be a deal where women get drinks for free. If these tent poles were really a real thing, then none of this stuff would exist. But as you and I, as well as everyone with half a brain knows, these things still exist. And as long as these things still exist, then traditionalism will reign supreme. And as long as traditionalism reigns supreme, then I do think that there is something to be said for there not being too much of a practical application for 50-50. If I'm going to give credence to the idea that 50-50 is a feasible proposition, then I would also say, if a man is in a relationship with a woman and the household bills and all of that kind of stuff is being split, if all things financially are being split 50-50, then it is that man's responsibility to supplement that 50-50 in other areas. So you better be mechanically inclined. If y'all are splitting everything 50-50, then you better be able to change oil without needing to drive to the lube place to have them change it. You better be able to fix stuff. You better be able to, you know what I'm saying? Changing a light bulb is anybody can do that, but you
Yeah,
better
but
be
it's still your
you better
job.
right. You better be able to get up under the sink and take the pipe apart and look to see if you need to replace a gasket. You better be able to take the faucet handle apart and replace the washer. If you're leaking water in the bathroom, you better be able to supplement in some of these practical ways if everything is being split 50-50. Because if things are being split 50-50, but you're not supplementing the lack of financial superiority in other areas, and I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, I'm just saying that this is what happens sometimes. There is the possibility that your woman will start to wonder, well, what other guy can be making more or do 50-50 with me, but lend their hands to supplement the relationship in some of these other ways that you can't. The bottom line is 50-50 is a tricky thing. Like you said, I do think you brought up a good point. They do manage their relationship in very unconventional ways. I didn't even think about the angle of of them not being binary. I think that that's something that's worth noting. I didn't even think of that, but I do think that that's a valid point worth noting. But yes, in certain unconventional contexts, straight 50-50 down the middle, everything might be workable. But I think for most people where you bring in strengths and weaknesses and she brings in strengths and weaknesses, if you're doing everything 50-50, you better have more strengths than weaknesses. And your strengths better be able to supplement her weaknesses. Otherwise, she's going to say, what good are you? Um, Again, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that there's women who might start thinking like that, for better or for worse. So if you have said weaknesses and you're unable to supplement in some of these various ways, then it behooves you to be somebody who maintains financial superiority. Because feminism isn't real. Women don't want 50-50 for real. They don't want to be able to contribute the same thing that men do when it comes to the household or the relationship. You have to be the man who is putting forth these things, and then she is coming in a supportive role. So, can it work? Maybe in rare instances. I've personally never seen that. Um, in all relationships that I've observed in my personal life, it's always been constructed in such a way that if the finances are being split 50-50, then dude is supplementing for that 50-50 in some tangible way. That's just how I've seen it. And if that's not the setup, then dude is just straight up bringing in more money. And if it's the reverse, in which she's bringing in more money, unless you're just some kind of superhuman guy who can do everything under the sun, there's a lack of respect going on there that works to your detriment if you're the dude in that situation. So, the one thing that I will say is it might be helpful for somebody like Gabrielle Union to talk about the prospect of 50-50 when it comes to finances, so that maybe it might impact some of these women out here who live in Delusionville, as you like to put it, who just think that they're supposed to be with this guy who makes $300,000-$400,000 a year, and all they're doing is just sitting there looking good. So maybe if there's some good that can come from somebody like Gabrielle Union talking about 50-50, it can be sort of the inception. Maybe there's an inception that can take place where some of these chicks walking around out here who think that they're entitled to a top 10 percenter might say, if I want a 10 percenter, perhaps I ought to contribute something other than box. Other than that, though, you can take it for what it's worth. I think that it's rainbows and unicorns to talk about it, but practically speaking, I don't know how realistic it is.
Yeah, and damn, I had a point I was about to say. But yeah, these two not conventional at all. So whatever works for them, it's not gonna work for us all, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, so this whole dynamic here, I agree with it for them, but for the average everyday person, like you said, the 50-50 thing is too tricky. It's all about control. To me, money is about control. That's just plain and simple. And if you're dealing with somebody that's making as much money as Gabrielle Union is, you know, there has to be somebody up there that makes, way money to even date or be with her, for anything for her to make sense, kind of thing. So, because she's not going to date down, because then she's going to still want a lifestyle and then be paying all the bills and then cheat on them, even though I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, so the name of the game is just have more money, guys. Just, just take the L. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. But take the L. And when you was referring to earlier about supplementing, stuff, basically you're just saying that you constantly just got to be in frame. You constantly have to be in frame. You can't not be in frame, when you're paying 50-50. Now, if you're paying um, you know, 80-20, then you can let loose a little bit
Yeah.
and scratch your ass the way you want to, you know. But if it's 50-50, nah, man, you on the clock. She don't really need you like that. She don't really need you like that. So you got to do something, hold your value. And so the thing is when you're dealing with somebody that's got you on a clock, that's my problem with it. Is that there's this mindset of you can get replaced. And that whole mindset doesn't add to the relationship to me. That's 1 foot in, 1 foot out, basically. And so that's why the 50-50 thing is cool to an extent. But in practicality, I think that I know it works for some people, man, but you never know what those dynamics are in the house. I don't know what's going on. I still think financial domination is the best. Uh, women want somebody to depend on, and men have a natural inclination to want somebody to depend on them. So it works that way. Let's just stick to it. All right, we're not well, all of us aren't non-binary. So what works what works for them may not work for us. But hey, who knows? Because I've done 50-50 in relationships before, but those were more like situationships. It wasn't nothing serious and stuff like that. Because we both knew that this wasn't really gonna be nothing. So that's why we was doing that. But high key something major. I don't know, dude. You better dominate. It keeps things stable. All right. And it keeps people in their roles, and
Yeah.
but you gotta know who you're talking to and know who you're dealing with. And I'm not saying put nobody up to the test, but watch how they respond to money and watch how they respond to power dynamics. Watch when they try to gain power. See what they're trying to gain power over. And it's like, all these games, I can't deal with none of this. So see how they are with money, because I guarantee you this, however it is at the beginning, much like how you said for in the last one, where people really don't change. If they showed you this inclination at the beginning when y'all first was exchanging money and seeing how money flow between y'all, and you see it's like a power struggle going on, it's gonna be a power struggle forever. If you go financial domination, you coming into this knowing you paying 80% of everything, and you cool with that, and then she comes right up under that and she's cool with that, then you're cool with that. I just think it's just better to financially dominate. She wants you to be taller. She wants you to be smarter. She wants you to make more money. Go do that. And and then but for Wade and them,
Don't walk around. But yeah, it has to be the natural dynamic. You can't walk around like I'm taller than you. I'm dominating you in all of these ways.
Not just get a girl that's shorter, bro.
Yeah, I just think that the natural order of things is as such that you're gonna choose people who fit into that for you in those ways.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So we got somebody in chat here.
Yeah, yeah.
Danielle says, I don't know many men who can 100% support their families without their lady's income. And then she also says, so it's a lot different than people who have millions. Yeah, both are valid points. That's why, for me, I just kind of think that when it comes to split evenly 50-50, I do think that men should supplement that 50-50 in some kind of practical way. So, but that's just my opinion. So being resourceful in some kind of capacity is helpful, because otherwise, if it's straight 50-50, but as a guy, you're not contributing anything in a resourceful way, I think that at points that can lead to complications. I think, and I've seen it play out like that. That might not be the case for every relationship, but I've just seen it happen that way, and it can be tricky. So,
Yeah, yeah. And if you're a guy, you got to be active at all times. Basically, what you're also saying is you got to stay active.
Yeah,
And
within frame, as you put it, within frame is a good way to say that.
Yeah, and within frame, and whenever you're not being active, whenever you're not in frame, and whenever she's seeing you sit down and you chill, you can chill after working. You're like God, bro. You get 6 days and you only get 1 day to rest, then you right back at it, and it's like constantly you gotta be working. And if you work for 8 hours, you can't come home and chill. You gotta keep working.
Yeah,
And so you gotta constantly stay in frame.
I agree. Yeah, she's you need to make sure that you got a John Deere, get out there, tend to the lawn, all of that kind of stuff. I'm bringing up random stuff off the top of my head, but my point is just you have to be resourceful. As much as you can to contribute in those various ways. She also says if you are with the wrong woman, though, she won't want you to be happy and constantly have to prove yourself. That is true. And I think that goes both ways. There's a lot of toxic people. It goes without saying, don't be with a toxic partner. Definitely. So that's a deal breaker. If you're with a toxic person, all bets are off. It doesn't matter what you do at that point. So I think it was an interesting topic. I think it's cool that she said that, but it depends on the situation. It works for some, it doesn't work for others. I think for more traditional setups, you got to be able to kind of come to the table within frame as a man, because truth be told, if things don't work out, you go back on the market and she goes back out on the market, she's going to be off the market before you are. So, and that's just the nature of things. So, yeah. But be that as it may, to all those who champion 50-50, go for it and good luck. Let me know how that works out.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right, man. My boy T-Pain. Tallahassee native T-Pain. We're gonna talk about T-Pain real quick. So T-Pain basically said Drake makes simp music. So I thought that this was pretty funny because T-Pain was a guest on a show here. What's the name of this thing? Let's see. We'll see what it's called as I read, this article for context. But T-Pain was basically talking about the type of music that he made when he first burst onto the music scene and how it was simpish. And he eventually realized how simpish it was, and hence kind of veered away from making that kind of music. And when prompted that the music industry, the music landscape or the genre as a whole needs more of that kind of music, T-Pain was like, nah, I'm good, Drake got that covered. So let's see here. So this article also from Hot New Hip Hop. It's a Hot New Hip Hop day, man. So this says T-Pain jokes that Drake makes simp music. T-Pain T-Pain says that Drake has the making of simping music covered. While reflecting on his own history of hit songs about longing for women on Nappy Boy Radio, also it was his own platform. Payne explained that he doesn't need to return to that era. He referenced I'm Sprung, I'm in Love with a Stripper, and Bartender as examples. Quote, I had zero confidence in any of my music. I was always the simp, remember? T-Pain began. I was always the N-word that didn't have any confidence that anything could happen at all. I was always wishing for a girl. I'm sprung, quote, I'm sprung. That was about me simping to hell. First real simp joint. I'm in love with a stripper. Never said I ever got her. Just said I liked her a bunch. Bartender. Never took her anywhere. She was just a bartender. Never said we fucked or anything. Just me simping from afar. He continued. Payne's guest on the episode, Rob Markman, then chimed in, quote, I think we need that back in music, though. Payne responded, simping? Nah, I think Drake got it covered.
Damn.
So, so here's some here is a clip of that. So I'll go ahead and play that, and then we'll, talk about what T-Pain said about simping and the fact that, Drake apparently makes simp music.
I had zero confidence in any of my music.
Really?
I was always the simp. Remember, I was always the that just didn't have any confidence that anything could happen at all. I was always wishing for a girl. I'm Sprung.
Right.
That was about me simping to hell. This first real simp joint. And I'm in love with a stripper. Never said I ever got her. Just said I liked her a bunch. Bartender.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Never took her anywhere. Just kind of she was just a bartender. Never said we.
Damn. But see, I think that's relatable.
Just me sipping from afar.
Free drinks, though. Most guys. I think we need that back in music, though.
Like sipping? I don't think Drake got it covered.
That's funny.
That's factual though. I can't lie.
Oh man. So yeah, T-Pain say Drake got simp music covered. So what about you, man? You think Drake has simp music covered? You think Drake makes simp music? What do you think about those comments?
I mean, simp is such a strong word.
It is.
But yes, I think he makes simp music. And shout out to T-Pain, Teddy Payne, Tallahassee Payne, for
Teddy pin her ass down.
Right. For being so honest about his simping music, because it was getting criticized back then for how sucker it was coming off. I'm sprung and I'm in love with a stripper. That's some wild stuff. And I remember first hearing those songs, I couldn't believe people were liking it. Sorry, T-Pain. I just didn't hear it. I understood it, but I didn't really get it. So so I'm glad he was being honest. There was clearly a longing for simp music. Kind of like now when you try to listen to rap, but all these guys are like singing, but they're like emotional as hell, talking about how they can't trust nobody and this and this, depression music. And so music goes through waves, and the simping era and making it seem so cool. Yeah, T-Pain was right there at the forefront of that stuff, making simping look like it was desirable. But it was speaking to a generation of simps. Much like how this depressing music is speaking to a generation of depressed kids. So Drake, when he hit his wave or whatever, when I first heard Drake, I was blown away by his timing and the bars. It was just clean as hell. And I'm sitting there listening to this guy. I'm like, oh, wow, this is good. But I like when he just gave me bars. But when he started doing his storytelling about other stuff, like all his albums that people were calling classics, it was way too emotional for me. And so I couldn't deal with all of that stuff. But people were critically acclaiming it. But I felt like that was speaking to emotional people, that want to that want to get into that space of whatever his music does to them, from the beat to his cadence, everything. So I never really jive with any of his stuff unless it was like a banger, like a knocker. You know what I'm saying? Like the beat went tough, Metro Boomin or something.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, all right, yeah, I'll hear him, or when it's a diss track or something. So, when he's going in. So that's when I want to hear Drake, because he can rap, but his brand of music, if you leave it up to him, clearly he'll make that kind of emo simping, whatever type of stuff. And he's it's a good lane. There's plenty of simps out there. They're not gonna come out of the closet. They're deeply closeted simps out there. But they'll sit there and know that they simping on the low, and won't tell nobody. I see you out there, simps. All right. And Drake's in the majority of your playlists. So how you feel about this, bro? Do you think Drake makes simp music, or it's a little harsh of a term there?
So Drake, so when it comes to songs about women, I'll be honest. When it comes to songs where he's talking about women in his music, Drake says things that I directly relate to. I think part of the reason why Drake, and I'm not even a Drake fan, I don't like Drake's music personally, not a fan. The only album that I ever even liked from Drake was his first one. Since then, I haven't liked any of his solo projects. I just like songs, singles hit here and there. I don't really like Drake like that, not the way everybody else does. However, I think one of the reasons why he's as popular as he is and why people gravitate towards him so much is because he'll say things that people are actually going through for real. Like as far removed from being a commoner as Drake is, he still hasn't gotten to a point where he just gets on a song and just says completely unrelatable things.
I agree.
Jay-Z. Jay-Z is my favorite rapper ever. But Jay-Z has gotten to a point where now, if he starts rapping, I cannot comprehend any of the stuff that he's saying. He's reached such a point of being like a billionaire, and he lives a billionaire life. He has I have no comprehension for Jay-Z's life. And so when Jay-Z's rapping now, it's like I just don't get it. I got to go listen to early 2000s, late 90s Jay-Z, because post-retirement Jay-Z has just become completely unrelatable to me. And so I think a lot of the reason why Drake is liked by so many people is because he'll still say stuff that people are actually experiencing. So there's an affinity there.
Right.
So would I go so far as to say he makes simp music? If I said Drake makes simp music, then I would in essence be calling myself a simp, because Drake hear me out. Drake says certain things in his songs that when it comes to women, that I have either directly experienced or that I agree with.
Okay.
So, he talks about, he has that weird, I think it's a trash album with 21 Savage, that album that he put out with 21 Savage. I think it's trash. But a lot of people love it. I got a cousin who loves Drake, thinks Drake is the best rapper. I don't see it. But he had the one line in the song where, he says, if he says something like, find somebody else to reload your bank account, because, if I'm busy, we can hang out. But if not, then fuck no, find somebody else to put money in your account or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that sentiment because, the kind of guy who would put money in said woman's bank account, I look at as an actual simp. And so I say, hey, I get that and I agree with it. And so, I don't necessarily know that Drake makes simp music per se, but here's what I will say.
Okay.
I just kind of feel like he represents his generation of emo rap, where it's just about expressiveness and it's not about that hip hop machismo or bravado. And it depends on the generation upon which you hail. If you came from the generation where it's all about real bars, then hearing that, you might interpret it as simp music. The way that I define simping is T-Pain songs. Don't be a guy who's going after women who don't really care or respect you because there's a price tag on their vagina. So it's not really about who you are or respect for you as a man or an individual. It's about what you can provide for her. And if you can afford her this type of thing, then she'll accept you. She takes applications. If you as a guy know you're dealing with a woman like that and yet you still do those things, then yeah, you're a simp. So it depends. Like, Drake has done things in his private life that I would say are simpish when it comes to getting with Instagram models, getting with strippers and all of that kind of thing. But when he reconciles that in his lyrics in a way that makes it sound like, at the time I was making this decision and here's what I was going through, there's times where his lyrics resonate and I say, okay, I get it, even though I don't approve of your decision, because I do find it to be simpish. So I guess I'm trying to say that he does make simp music, but he at least does it from a standpoint in which he's trying to learn from his simpish ways and not be simpish anymore. I'm trying to give Drake the benefit of the doubt here, despite the fact that I'm not a fan of his music or care to listen to it very often. But more overt music, like I'm in love with a stripper, T-Pain had that right. That is simp music. I think Drake is a little different because I think at the most, to me, Drake says, hey man, I simp from time to time. I ain't perfect. I'm trying to learn from it so that I can not be a simp ever again. And here's how. Let me explain it to you. He provides a blueprint for guys who might be doing the same thing to maybe not do it. And so I guess I appreciate him for that, even if his music is simp music. So bit long-winded there, but that's the best way that I can kind of explain it. Is
All
if
right.
he is, yeah. So like if he is making simp music, I get it. But the way that he expresses it is he expresses it in such a way as to say, hey man, I know what you're going through. You might be doing this with this chick and all of this kind of stuff. You might be going through this or paying for this or doing this, but learn from my mistakes. I did this and I'm trying to improve and be better so that I'm not a simp in the future. However, Drake still, I feel, there's a method to his madness that's like, I preach this, but I don't necessarily practice it. Because if you follow rumor mills and you follow along with Drake and what he does in his personal time, he does some simp things in his personal time. So, maybe consume the message, but not follow the messenger type thing. I don't know. But when it comes to Drake and simp music, he makes simp music, but I guess it's simp music that can be constructed from time to time.
I mean, I get that, and my argument is because music, to me, I look at music like as like wavelengths. So it's the types of music, it just comes in a wavelength, and that's the package to that. And when you listen to Drake, you're in a certain wavelength, you're in a certain frequency base of putting vagina on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Even though he talks about him like he be dogging them, he be romancing and loving these thoughts.
It is a considerable chunk of his content. It is.
Yeah. And so what
Yeah.
he's preaching is romancing and loving thoughts to his mass listeners and getting into these toxic situations and learning from them. I don't want to hear this. That's if there was a pregame, and I had a player that listens to Drake before the game, and I had a player that listens to J. Cole before the game. I think I want the J. Cole player.
I hear that.
And or if this is Drake, somebody listening to Drake, or somebody listening to some Liquid Swords, some Wu-Tang. I'm taking Liquid Swords. Drake gets you in them. I'm like, you listen. I heard some dudes, probably like Jason Tatum, who play like he listened to Drake.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Oh, he got an energy set to him that don't rock with me. So as soon as I start putting on those clothes, I go, this don't fit. So that's why I was like, sorry, bro, just give me bars. I don't want to hear about you tricking off on thoughts. And nobody can. And so again, he's talking about a lifestyle that other people can't live. But they're listening to it as if it's gospel. And now they out here thinking that they got to deal with these insta thoughts. And so shout out to Currency, by the way. You know, my favorite rapper. Right. And if you listen to any of his stuff, especially, you know, I don't know, man, 2012 to 2015, 16, you know, you listen to that stuff, it's so much game in there. I was just listening to, you know, a random playlist, and I'm listening to how much game he was just giving on how not to be a simp. It's apples and oranges. And then so he talks about a lifestyle similar to Drake that I can't live. But he talks about it in a way where he's balling on these hoes. He's not around here in a situation where he's like, I really thought I loved this thought.
Yeah.
I really thought she was and it's like, bro, I don't want to hear about you emoing about some Insta whore.
Or a stripper.
Or a stripper.
Or a bottle service girl.
Come
yeah.
on, bro.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. So that's how it's simping. Is it bars though? And is he giving those good one-liners that everybody can relate to? He's very good at that, as you said.
And that's where I think he catches people. Is he makes the music with a certain level of skill that, you know, has people sort of trapped in a way. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It's like if you listen to country music and they're all doing the same thing, and they're riding in the back of the ride, you know, and his lady with the wind blowing on the trail, him and his boys is sipping brews. It's the same formula. So Drake knows what to say in the thing to get you feeling like, yeah, I'm with the boys, you know. Hey, I'm with the, you know, or yeah, these hoes got me fucked up when I look in their DMs, you know, or this and this, and I can relate to that. And yeah, that's the hook. It gets you in, but overall, the energy, you just walked into a room that says simping in it.
Yeah,
it just says simp right up front. Yeah. But that's when he's in those moods and in those songs. So that's why I say so. He mixes it up, and then he does the Caribbean stuff, even though he's still crying to some woman or something. You know, he just wants one dance and all this other stuff. So, yeah, I guess you really can't, you know, hotline blings. So, man, this guy, I'm sorry. I mean, is he a hit machine? Was he the best engineered hip hop rock star ever? I think so. I think he's transcended all kinds of stuff, expectations, minds. So he's the prime example of commercial Hollywood rap. He does his job immaculately. But I just don't care for, you know, those soft songs. I just can't deal with them. So.
I hear all of that, man. I really do. I agree with you. I'm inclined to agree with all of that. I think part of the reason why he has such a strong fan base among men is because, you know, we've talked about this often. Nowadays, man, I think that there are more guys today than not who are slaves to vagina. And I think when you're a slave to vagina, music like Drake's is going to resonate with you. When you basically live for vagina and you live for the pursuit of women, you call it not being on your square. When you are all about the pursuit of women, then yeah, music like Drake's is going to resonate with you. The only thing that I can say is that when he makes the songs talking about how he regrets certain decisions, maybe somebody can listen to that and maybe it'll reach someone who will say, okay, I know not to do that. And so I'm looking at it from a standpoint of maybe it can help somebody. But to him directly, he keeps making this stuff. So clearly he keeps doing this. He's enveloped in this life, and I don't think he cares to get out of it. Like when it comes to see, the thing with Drake is he's like he's like he's not in the same stratosphere when it comes to earnings as Jay-Z, but I think he's like so far removed from regular people like Jay-Z. He's in position to simp and have it not cost him. Whereas someone in you and me's position,
Right.
if we were to do that, it would cost us dearly.
Right.
But see, but he can do it and it not cost him.
Right.
And the only thing that and actually, if you think about it in a roundabout way, simping can actually reward him because it provides him for content for his music. So in a weird
cycle, bro.
Yeah, in a so not only does he not necessarily pay a penalty for dealing with the wrong types of women because he's literally rich enough to afford it, but it can also benefit his career because it provides him with more content for future music. So there really is no incentive for him to not simp. So when I look at him, I say, I don't even really care about Drake. You're whatever, but you make this music trying to provide cautionary tales for your listeners. So maybe some of these listeners can actually glean it as a cautionary tale and not do the dumb shit that you do when it comes to women. Because, when it comes to him, the man himself, clearly he doesn't mind dealing. He lives his life this way. He even mentioned it. Like he did that little, I don't know whether it's a podcast, YouTube or whatever, where he was with Lil Yachty. And they were talking about women, how he compares himself to large-breasted women, and he was on the Howard Stern show, talking about how because of his lifestyle, marriage isn't necessarily something that could be in the cards for him, and he said it with such conviction that it said to me that it isn't something that he necessarily cares about because he's just busting unlimited nuts on these thoughts because he literally can't afford it. So Drake is just like whatever to me. It's bro, you just gonna keep doing that kind of stuff. But the problem with it is that you got these other guys out here who are giving their time, effort, and energy to women who treat men like job applicants and ATM machines. And so, guys need to learn how to not deal with women like that. And maybe some of your lyrics talking about how you regret certain decisions that you made with respect to women can pick up on that and not follow suit. But otherwise, I hear everything you're saying. I think that's 100% right. And I think a lot of that has to do with why I never really gravitated towards his music in the first place.
Exactly.
Like I can't deal with hearing you talk about this stripper or this bottle service girl or this porn star or all of these other women who whore themselves out to high value men, and by high value I mean rich, not actually high value, just have a lot of money. You deal with women who don't even have all of they 75% of their body isn't even their natural body parts, just plastic and fakeness and all of this kind of stuff. You meet women and live in all of the rest of these nightclubs and all of this kind of stuff, like you're living a weirdo simpish type lifestyle. So it's whatever with him, the person. But in terms of the music itself, yeah, I guess I would say it's simp music, but it's simp music with a hint of constructivism. But how many people are receptive to that aspect of it? Who knows? Whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, because that's my whole thing, bro. Because, yeah, you'll listen to Drake, because I'll listen to Drake, but you don't listen to Drake.
No way.
And that's what I'm saying. And there's people that do that and they move like that. I'm sorry if you're a Drake fan, but you move like a Drake fan.
Yeah.
And one thing about, like I said, man, if there's somebody out there that's a Currency fan, that's a real Currency fan, they're appreciative. They're appreciative people to what he's done for them. So he's not like mainstream or nothing like that. People know of him, but people that are his fans, they thank him. And these are genuine thank yous. I say thank you. Because there's times where he'll make a song or come out with a song and you can just hear the message in what he's saying. He'll bring up women, and then as he's bringing up women, he may bring up an instance of how how she tried to play him, but how he finessed it. But he's never in a position, never heard him tell a tale where the woman was the prize. Never heard him tell a tale that way. Everything was about how I know what they're here for. And they're gonna get treated like what they here for. So, ladies, if you did hear me using the expletives describing women, I'm talking about those ladies of the evening who just exclusively go after ball players and rappers. Those are whores. And they do have sex for money. So when these girls show up backstage and they doing the groupie stuff out, yeah, they don't just want to smash once. You know, they want to be around for some whatever, some perks and some benefits, some pay, basically.
I would also throw, the large contingent of modern day sex workers into that boat as well. So, chicks would do OnlyFans, Instagram models, fitness models, influencers. They're all, all of them. All of them reside in that bucket. All of them.
Yeah, we got to really delve into this influencer thing because where the hell did that come from? But it's a thing.
It is. You know what the thing is? Be pretty and have a sexy body. That's what the thing is. They're not influencing shit. They just look good. See, and the advertisers know that people are just ridiculous. Like people are just. Yeah, it's a topic for another video.
I know.
But that's influencing is just looking good, being aesthetically pleasing, and then advertise this thing. And people are going to flock to the page, and the views and the likes and the comments go up because it's an attractive person who's endorsing this thing, but they're not influencing a goddamn thing.
Yeah. So because that's an interesting dynamic. So yeah, that's if there's a topic that comes up one day that we can cross that path, that would be kind of interesting. But yeah, man, Drake, he's got it. He's got a lane. If you're a Drake fan, bro, I ain't trying to dog you out, man. But just, and I'm pretty sure I know he's got songs in there when he's dogging them out, but he's got my whole argument was there's artists out there that don't do this at all. So T-Pain, yeah, his hits were simping. I don't think every song he made was simping. So there is a ratio. I'm not saying every song Drake makes. You got to make these qualifications with people.
And he did veer from that, after a while, whereas Drake still does it.
He leans into it.
Yeah, heavily. Yeah,
he leans. So that's the whole point. So Drake is holding that down quite nicely to the point where it's kind of like taboo if you even say it's simpish because there's so many people that enjoy it. He's like, oh no, man, you ain't listening right, or you can't relate. It's like, I don't want to deal with sex workers and freaking what you call them, bottle girls, and I don't care about that. That's his lifestyle. So anywho, but yeah, T-Pain, he nailed this one, and I appreciate his honesty because it did do damage. His music did do damage.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Yeah. Shouts out to T-Pain, man. And yeah, if you're a Drake fan, salute, man. We ain't trying to throw dirt. It just is what it is, it is what it is.
Better. Currency's better.
Yeah. And shouts out Currency. He put out a new little like an EP, I guess you would consider it, with Jermaine Dupri. It's pretty good. Yeah. It's on my Spotify. So I hear all of that, man. It is what it is. Just take this stuff with a grain of salt, man. But yeah, I would say, I guess, Drake does make simp music, I would say. But what are you gonna do? I think this landscape is either simp music or I'm running up on my ops and shooting everybody music.
Boy, ain't no in between.
Yeah. So you take the good with the bad, man. It is, what are you gonna do? So oh man. But that's gonna do it for tonight's stream, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate Danielle for chiming in on the chat. She's a part of the tribe. Certainly appreciate the dialogue.
Yeah.
ConsciousApproach.com. Con Approach on Instagram, CONAPPROACH. Conscious Approach on Facebook, search Conscious Approach. JV Wins on Instagram at JV Wins. Continue to support that logical content, folks. We are in a race to 1,000 subscribers. So if you like what we kick over here on our little corner on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Man, hit that like button. Let us know what you think about these videos. Leave a comment. We do engage, so long as they are not of the troll variety. But, don't be a group thinker. Think for yourself. And as I like to say, man, until the next video, we certainly appreciate you supporting that logical content.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS and you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. Also, Hurricane Dogon on YouTube. Goddamn. And go Canes as always. Go Heat. Golly, crushing. And go Denver. Tearing into the Lakers right now. Hold on. Where they at? They still in the first quarter. Jokic already got 8 points, 5 assists, and 12 rebounds and 2 blocks in the first quarter.
Jokic put up them real triple doubles, not them LeBron triple doubles.
Hey, I said it. Damn it. So go Denver. All right. Oh, but as I say every part, guys, Ali, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, man. Keep it player, and don't let nobody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Facts, man. I as well am a Denver Nuggets fan for this series.
That's right.
So yeah, go Jokic, go Jamal Murray. I am rooting for the Nuggets. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this series, man. But yeah, until the next time, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're signing off. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Peace. Go Canes. Go Heat.